Alright, so we're back with another gameplay review. Well, replay analysis, gameplay review, kind of the same thing. But the difference being this time, we're in the Thunder, the tier 10 British battleship. Now, this may seem basically the same thing as reviewing the Conqueror gameplay, but this ship, it's similar but very different in some very fundamental ways. I mean, the guns in the ship are ridiculous. You can actually hit what you want to hit on this ship. Whereas in the Conqueror, it's kind of almost... You have a 3-gun turret, but at the same time, you're never 100% sure you're actually going to hit anything with those guns. But on the Thunder, it actually seems as though the shells actually go where you intended them to go. So that's one really big benefit. Now, obviously the hull is the exact same as the Conqueror. It has that raised citadel. But the one fundamental difference actually is that the heal on the Thunder is nerfed compared to that on the Conqueror. So you can't actually play maybe as aggressive as you want to play. Because the heal's obviously less. I think at the base level it heals like 2000 HP a second for 20 seconds. So it's definitely a lot less than the Conqueror. But again, I think the guns honestly make up for it in this ship. They're 457mm. And I don't think I've ever enjoyed playing a battleship as much as this one. At least not a tier 10. Maybe at lower tiers, maybe something like the Fuso is really enjoyable, but I don't know if that's because you just go seal clubbing or if it's actually because of this ship. But this ship definitely is enjoyable to play. I remember actually when I decided to get this ship, it was between this ship and the Smolensk. And for me, as we get like a nice 5k salvo, an instant fire on the Yamato. For me, the Smolensk just seems like a slightly upgraded Minotaur. I mean, I've played those kind of high-bind islands, smoke up kind of cruisers before, and I think I've had enough of that gameplay. It doesn't... It feels like you're playing a completely different game when you play those kind of ships. And obviously personal preference comes into it. Some people really enjoy the Smolensk more, some people really enjoy the Thunder more. But for me, the ships are a really nice addition. So yeah, we just creep into A. Obviously, I'm waiting for the Kiev to spot something. Take a little bit of a risky salvo. Take about 13-14k damage. And the Benham makes the first mistake of the day and decides not to move while smoking up, and he takes a 6k salvo. Now this was definitely something I didn't expect. I didn't expect the Stalingrad to push that hard. So at this point I think my plan of action is to actually push into A. Hopefully the Kiev can spot any torps coming from the Benham. And hopefully he spots the Benham too. Which I think he does. So then I can open up on the Benham and the Stalingrad, hopefully. I also see the Yamato pushing to the west. So I know I'm safe if I push in. Whereas I just sit here and the Yamato pushes around, he's going to have like a pretty good angle on my broadside. And that's one ship you don't want to be punished by. Again, the torpedoes are spotted. We're pretty fine. And you're just basically farming the Stalingrad at this point. Like the one thing I need to improve on, I think most, is I think a lot of players maybe have this issue, is that being able to predict which shell types you'll need ahead of time. I mean, like there's so many times, especially playing British BBs, where the HE is so effective. Or you'll see, okay, and then obviously did he shows himself? I don't think he moved actually. I don't think he moved from the last time I shot him to now. And we pick up that kill. Pretty nice. That just means we have complete control of the side of the map now. So again, just farming this Stalingrad. But yeah, I think a lot of players, and obviously this is a problem more in British PBs than anything else, with the HE being so effective, is that they just can't get the right shell types for the right moments. I mean, right here, the Bismarck, I just kept, I seen he was sailing full broadside, so I kept the AP loaded. But a lot of people, myself included sometimes, they keep the HE loaded, and then when they switch, they switch to AP. It's almost like the enemy ships like senses you're switching to AP, and they just turn out, and then you get massive ricochets and overpens and non-penetrations. But I think that's one of the most difficult aspects to learn on BBs. And I think mostly it comes down to like just that pure sensing thing. It's very difficult to actually teach it per se, because there's several things connected. I mean, like, you have to be looking at the mini-map constantly. You have to be anticipating another human and what they're going to do, and then you have to have the foresight to look at the mini-map, anticipate what that human's going to do, and then react accordingly. I think I just spelled out a basic human interaction. Anyways, so as you see the Yamato pushing on that flank, I think at some point he's going to turn around. I'm angling a little bit just in case he decides to and tries to block me. Obviously, I'd rather give broadside to a tier 8 Bismarck than I would to a Yamato any day of the week. But yeah, as we can see, he's starting to turn. I'm pretty sure the Stalingrad's still out that flank, but he's so low, he's not even worth thinking about. So at this point the game's looking pretty good. We've killed 2 of their DDs and 1 of their BBs. We have 2 caps. We take a little shot on the Yamato. He does about, that's fully angled, he does about 6k. So not a pitiful amount by any stretch of the imagination. And now I'll take this trade any day of the week. I'll keep trading shots with this Bismarck for as long as he wants to. Now, at this point I'm kind of unsure of myself. I don't know if I should turn in and head towards C. Ooh, did you see it? I remember this distinctly. I remember seeing those 4 torps, and then thinking, "Oh, I'm fine. It's only 4 torps. I'll run them." Not taking into consideration that there was 4 more right beside them, coming at me. So I turned a bit late for that. And that's just a general awareness thing. I think the Bismarck had popped heal. Yeah, he popped heal. But it wasn't enough. Oh, we end up taking him out. And yeah, now we can turn in and head towards C. But this game, at this point, the game's pretty much wrapped up. I think that's Smolensk firing on us. Such a disgusting ship, honestly. Sometimes I think, maybe I should have bought the Smolensk. It looks fun. But then I realized I have a Minotaur, and I don't need 2 versions of basically the same ship. But then again, I have the Conqueror and the Thunder that literally have the same hull, so you know, what am I saying? But yeah, 3 overpens on the... I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. Richelieu? But yeah, at this point I should be switching to HE. I think that's a mistake. I spent 1 too many salvos on HE. Actually, maybe shooting the full broadside French BB, that's what I'm going to call it from now on because I can't pronounce that name, would have been more effective there actually. See, at this point, if I turn If I turn out, I'm dead. So I have no option but to turn in. And go bow in. Oh, the rotor ship on this ship is exceptional. I think with everything fully upgraded, I got it down to about 8.2 seconds, which is ridiculous. It actually feels like a cruiser turning. Obviously without the speed. Yeah. I think it's like 30 knots or 29 knots max speed, which obviously isn't terrible. So yeah, we're just going bow in, trying to farm as much damage as possible before we get dropped. Because I fully intend, I fully think I'm going to get destroyed here. But then this guy decides to go full broadside for some reason. We get a fire on him, which is a pretty good start. And at this point the game's basically over, but I always like a little bit of damage farming. But yeah, I think that was a good decision here to turn in to the enemy team versus actually trying to get away, trying to escape. And sometimes you can panic in those situations and just turn out when it would be the wrong play. But luckily, this time we did the right thing. We did the right play, and it paid off. Obviously, about 9,500 XP, about 500,000 credits, 160k damage. Like not an amazing game, but not a terrible game by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you maybe learned something, maybe not. I didn't actually do all that much analysis of this game. I just talked. But yeah, hope you enjoyed.